All right, what is up, everyone? I hope you're all having a fantastic day today because we got a whole lot to talk about. There are people right now having a horrible day and a horrible week because, as you can see from the title of the video, and if you're locked in general, Xbox just had a full scale day of reckoning. Over 9,000 employees zapped, complete studio shutdowns, games canceled. And it's a shock. And based on how good Xbox was doing to start the year, just crazy that this came at this time because it's a horrible look. People are pissed off. But I do want to talk a little bit about what this actually means and what the future looks like for Xbox. Because on the other end of the spectrum, you got Sony for the first time releasing a Sony published first party exclusive to Xbox with Helldivers 2. And also has massive implications for the future and just what gaming is going to be very soon. All right, so I just wanted to start with Xbox and its layoffs because I think this is probably the biggest and most newsworthy thing that happened this week. And like I said before, over 9,000 employees laid off and studios shut down, games canceled. So obviously, some potentially scary news for fans of Xbox and what they've been doing. Um, you know, I've been seeing a lot of articles recently, I think from Jezcore and maybe a couple other people, about that the reason these firings and layoffs happened was to free up space for investing in AI and investing in Copilot AI. And if that's honestly the case, I think that's obviously a bad decision, especially, gutting your gaming department that just spent billions of dollars on acquisitions just so you can now shift into some other type of endeavor. I feel like that's weird. And I don't know if I fully am on board with that reasoning. I honestly feel like this was probably a more calculated decision based on what they think is actually going to succeed and what's not going to succeed. And that's not to give Microsoft any, credit and excuse for, you know, laying off people that maybe didn't really even get a chance to show what they can do. I obviously do not approve of that, but there are times when, stuff like this has to happen, when studios aren't pulling their weight. Stuff like this is always going to happen in gaming. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in. So, for example, the biggest thing I think Xbox's first party quadruple A studio, The Initiative, completely shut down and Perfect Dark essentially canceled for the foreseeable future, most likely indefinitely. And I just think this is huge. And this actually has a reason for it, and it's not just a senseless cancellation. Now, I'm not saying this is a good thing, but you really got to think about it from a business perspective when it comes to these things. You can't just personally take it and take offense to it because at the end of the day, gaming is a business, and if you're not meeting standards, you will be fired. That's how it works in every industry. And I think it's kind of goofy that when it comes to gaming, people seem to think that you can fail and fail and fail, and then nothing's going to happen. In any other job, if I don't perform how I'm supposed to perform, I will get fired. I might be given some warnings before that, but if it keeps happening, you will be let go, and you have no one really to blame but yourself. So let's just talk a little bit about that. Now, look, I know that Microsoft is of a huge corporation, and there is obviously a lot of corporate greed involved in the decisions that are made. And I'm not saying corporate greed is good. I think corporate greed is bad, and I think a lot of these layoffs are premature, and I think a lot of them are actually unwarranted, and people should be given a chance to prove themselves before just being completely shut down. So don't get my words twisted, but I just wanted to use The Initiative as an example of a time where you can't really make a great argument about why it shouldn't have been canceled. And I know people are out of jobs, and I feel bad for that, but it happens all the time. People get fired all the time, and it's just not at the forefront, so people don't care about it. But because it's gaming and gaming journalism have this weird virtue signaling approach to journalism, that's all you're going to hear. So I just wanted to give a bit of a different perspective on that. And when it comes to The Initiative and Perfect Dark, I mean, this studio was created in 2018, and what have we got from it so far? It's been in development hell as far as Perfect Dark goes for 7, 8 years now. All we have seen from Perfect Dark is one vertical slice, barely real gameplay trailer. That's all we've gotten. We haven't gotten a legit deep dive. It's been 8 years. At a certain point, you have to start wondering, is this studio competent? Are we going to even be able to salvage anything from this studio if we replace people at the top or in the middle? It comes down to a culture thing, and it comes down to just personnel are not capable of doing their job properly. And I think Microsoft probably saw we're sinking money into this studio, we're sinking money into this game, and they've got nothing to show for it after 8 years. It's honestly ridiculous. So I just wanted to use that as like a clear example of why layoffs happen. This is not something that was just, oh, let's just do it. Dude, Microsoft is a massive company. They have experts working and deciding what they should put money into, what's worth it, what's the trade-off, what's the, you know, market saying about this game, about this studio. What's the opportunity cost between getting rid of this studio or keeping it going and maybe having a flop? From what I saw from the gameplay, it honestly didn't look like anything special. I was pretty disappointed by the vertical slice they showed a couple years ago. And I honestly think this was probably the right decision. And I think it was a huge flop. And I'm an Xbox guy. I love Xbox. I've been playing Xbox since I was a kid. It's always been my main console. And although I've had every console, from all the Xbox consoles, from the GameCube to the Switch, the Wii, PS4, PS5, I would say Xbox has been my favorite. So I'm a little biased when it comes to it. But, the initiative for what they've done, they don't deserve any sympathy. Sure, the individuals, you got to feel bad a little bit because they're out of a job. But like I said before, layoffs and firings happen quite literally every day in every single industry in the world, almost all the time. You just don't really hear about it. And for some reason in gaming, you have to have this fake outrage over it. Oh no, like poor employees. Like, dude, if you're good at your job, you will find another job very quickly. It won't be very difficult, and that's the same with every industry. There are firings that happen. A lot of the time, it's just based off cutting costs. And at the end of the day, you were a cost that was cut. You can find another job. It's not the end of the world. And I'm not here to pretend like it is the end of the world. So, the question now, I think, is just what's the future of Xbox? I've been seeing a lot of people online saying, that Xbox is dead. Microsoft is done investing in gaming. They're going to be bricking every console, getting rid of consoles in general, and just focus on AI and cloud. And I think that's false. I think that's kind of ridiculous to say that, because we know, based on their messaging in the past, Xbox is going to continue making hardware. They're probably going to end up going with that PC console hybrid thing that they've been talking about. And I think that's probably the right move. I think that's the future of gaming. I think that's the future of console gaming in general. Having a more streamlined device that just provides, a lot more value between PC and console. With games going to PC a lot, more games coming to console, which we're going to talk about in a minute, it just makes complete sense. And I think if Microsoft wasn't focused on gaming, they wouldn't be making these cuts, these, layoffs. It's clear that they want to create more profit margins in the gaming industry. Otherwise, they'll just shut down Xbox in general. It would be pointless to keep putting money into something that you don't think is capable of making money. So that's where I stand on that topic. Next, I want to talk a little bit about Sony and Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox, because I think that's massive, and I think it's really promising stuff for the future of gaming. Helldivers 2 is officially coming to Xbox August 26th of this year. Now, online, you could see the fanboys are absolutely shitting their panties because of this news, because of Helldivers coming to Xbox. They're coping hard like they usually do when stuff like this happens. It happens on both sides. When Xbox is bringing games to Sony, when Sony is bringing games to Xbox, the fucking dick measuring contest just keeps going, and it's honestly so pathetic. But here we are. This is positive news, not negative news like the stuff we talked about before. This is extremely positive. I'm so happy that Sony's finally doing this, following in Xbox's footsteps. Xbox is bringing Gears Reloaded to Sony. They brought Forza Motorsport to Sony. It seems that this is probably just the future for console gaming, man. Every game eventually is going to be on every console. And as a consumer, for you to not think that's a good thing, you have to be so fucking brain dead. It's not even funny. Like, you have to just be a complete idiot to not be down for this. Everyone's going to be able to play with everyone. Everyone's going to get every game. And I think this is just, like I said, a sign for the future. Xbox is already doing it. You can see probably most Xbox games are going to end up coming to PlayStation in the future. Guaranteed. I think there's no doubt about that. Sony, I still think it's going to take a little bit of time, but eventually I think they're going to see, what Microsoft is doing is creating a lot more money. And Sony's going to want a piece of that pie as well. Just like they have done in the past. You know, Xbox was the first one to start releasing games on PC, and that's been a major success, clearly. And I think Sony, you know, they see the dollar signs. They see this is probably the future. This is the way to make the most money possible. And at the end of the day, when there's competition like that, it's a good thing. Because when both of these companies are trying to make the most money possible, if this is the route they're choosing, the consumer is going to win in the end. We're going to get the best games, and we're not going to have to be stuck behind a paywall if you bought a specific console over another. We're all going to be able to enjoy it, and there's legit nothing bad about that at all, especially for people that are more casual and not really locked into the fucking console wars and stuff like that. Hopefully soon we're gonna end up seeing games like, you know, Last of Us or Uncharted on Xbox. You're gonna see all the Halos going to PlayStation, and we could all just play together, man. Big gaming community. PC's still there, pretending they're sicker than everyone else. Nintendo, man, I don't know what the fuck Nintendo's doing. If you got a Nintendo and you just spent $1,000 on a Switch 2, I mean, rip, bro. But couldn't be me. Couldn't be me, that's for sure. All right, guys, but that is it for this video today. I don't really have anything else to say on these two topics. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you think my takes are total ass or you agree with me, let me know in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. It really helps a lot. And see you guys in the next one. Peace.